Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak in support of the revised National Defense Authorization Act conference report that we have before us today. It is the result of months of collaborative work by the Senate Armed Services Committee and a very thoughtful conference. And I would like to join the Chairman McCain, and commend Chairman Mac Thornberry of Texas and the Ranking Member Adam Smith of Washington. The collaboration, the thoughtfulness, the consideration was extraordinary and outstanding. But I have to say, from my point of view, the reason we're here today, most fundamentally, is the leadership of Chairman McCain on the committee. It was thoughtful, it was bipartisan, it encouraged participation by all the members of the committee. There was vigorous debate, and then there were votes. But that's the way this committee and this Congress should operate. And ultimately, too, I think it reflected what the chairman has always brought to his duties as a member of the United States Senate, and before that, the United States House of Representatives, and before that, the United States Navy. Understanding that what we do here ultimately reflects and influences and shapes the service and sacrifice of millions of young Americans in uniform. And the chairman never forgets that. He has laid out some of the extraordinary reforms that have been introduced in this legislation, and he has also indicated that we will continue to work next year under his leadership in additional reforms. These reforms in compensation, personnel policy, a host of others are going to set us and our Department of Defense on a better path forward. And again, much of it is because of his leadership and his direction. Now, previously, the bill came up, and there was one area of major disagreement, and that was the use of the overseas contingency funds. And I must again thank the chairman, because he allowed a vigorous debate, a vote on the floor, and ultimately, and very satisfactorily, this has been resolved through the recent budget agreement. So now we have legislation before this that raises the annual budget cap of the Department of Defense and other agencies, and it allows our Defense Department, I think, to be more forward-looking, more able to rationally budget going forward. And this is, I think, given us both the budget authority and the proper direction so that we can have a much more stable, much more predictable future. And again, I think it'll be a wonderful sort of facilitator as we consider additional reforms next year in the Defense Authorization Bill. It also recognizes the fact one of the challenges is not only those programs that are controlled by the Department of Defense, but also other agencies that are involved in national security. And relief for those agencies is also important to carrying out the mission of the Department of Defense and protecting the American people. With this new NDAA, I think we have been able to keep our pledge to the men and women in the uniform of the United States. And let me finally conclude where I began. Thank Chairman McCain, Chairman Thornberry, Ranking Member Smith, but more particularly the staffs. We who have the privilege of serving on the Armed Services Committee understand the extraordinary hours, the efforts, the insight, the total commitment of not only the committee staff members, but the staffs of the individual members. Their efforts are reflected in this bill. It will not bear their names, but more importantly, bear their work. And for that, I thank them very, very much. And let me urge all of my colleagues to support this bill, to join Senator McCain and others so that for the 54th straight year, we will have a National Defense Authorization Bill that will become the law of the United States. And with that, Madam President, I would yield the floor.